Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranams to all the devotees. Thank you all for joining in. Let's start with prayers. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uttapadakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Namo Vishnu Padhaya Krishna Preshaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradhayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaura Dushe Namaha Panchatatvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhaktashaktikam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sude Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yatkrapatamaham vande Shri Gurun Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Krishna Chaitanyam Ishwaram Hari Om Tat Sat Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tarale Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna. So Dandavat Pranams to all the devotees. Once again, a warm welcome to all of you. Today is the second last session of our Srila Prabhupada's book, The Path of Perfection. So we were reading yesterday. We are on chapter number 8. We were reading about what is failure and success in yoga. So we're reading about how what is the success in yoga is to re-establish our connection with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And we were speaking about the yoga ladder. So our ultimate goal is Krishna Prema, but we have a choice whether we want to go in for Karma Yoga, we want to go in for Jnana Yoga, we want to go in for Ashtanga Yoga, we want to go in for direct process of Bhakti Yoga. And then we saw how Bhakti Yoga is a direct lift. We just have to get into the lift in the association of devotees chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. In the association of all the devotees, will ultimately be taken to the last floor. There is no endeavor that is required, like climbing the stairs, right? We get breathless, we have to sit down, take rest. There is not much of an endeavor required from our side except to be in the lift. To be in the lift, we should be careful not to get out of the lift. That means we should continue with our process of ABCD square in the association of devotees. That is being in the lift. The devotees are also there in the lift. So together with the devotees, we ensure that we are in the lift. And in this way, we don't have to go through the tedious process of climbing the steps. We just have to enjoy being in the lift and chant our rounds and be in the association of devotees and reach the highest goal. And that is the success, right? And today we'll continue wherein Prabhupada is going to quote Lord Shri Krishna when he says Bhaktyanam abhijanati yavan yaschasmi tatvataha, right? It is only a devotee who can know me very easily. For all the rest of the yogis, Krishna is actually covering himself with the yoga maya, which is called the curtain. What is that word? Shiranmayena patrena satyasya hitam mukham, right? In our vision, like for example, sometimes we feel that the clouds are actually blocking the sun, right? Especially during the rainy weather. We see that just before the rain falls, we see that we cannot see the sun, right? Even though it might be like 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock, 12 noon. We sometimes see that, just as it is about to rain, we see that the clouds are covering the sun, but the clouds don't have the potential to cover the sun. The clouds only protect, or the clouds only hide the sun from our eyes. That is also an illusion, right? The sun is such a big ball of fire. The clouds are so small, the clouds cannot cover the sun. What is the cloud doing? The cloud is only covering our eyes with that illusion, right? So similarly, Hiranmayena Patrena Satyasya Pita Mukam. The lotus face of the Lord is covered because of Maya, or because of the illusory effect created by the Lord from those who are not pure devotees. That is why we cannot recognize Krishna even if Krishna comes and stands in front of us. Right? So, because we expect Krishna means he has to be like this, right? He has to come and in that blue form. He has to have the Shamasundar form. He has to come with a flute. Krishna can come in any way, right? Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Santa Sadaiva Hridesh Vilokayanti, right? Just like there is a very beautiful example given. Like, for example, if a child, if our child, say my daughter, is taking part in a drama, right? She is dressed up as Advaita Acharya and she is on the stage. Right? As soon as I see my daughter, whether she is wearing a pavade or the normal dress that she's wearing, a frock, or the long skirt and top, or a salwar kameez, or if she's dressed as Advaita Acharya with beard, I will recognize my daughter, right? Whether she's on the stage also. Like that, the devotee recognizes the Lord in whatever form the Lord comes. The Lord may come as Ram, the Lord may come as Nrsimhadev, the Lord may come in an disguised form, but a pure devotee can recognize the Lord. But we are not able to recognize. Only the mother can recognize the child in whatever way the child may dress up, right? Sometimes they put a lot of makeup and this and that. But a new person cannot identify that this is so and so, right? But a mother can recognize the child. Similarly, but today's makeup is so much that even the mother cannot recognize the child. Today's dramas are so professional. So as much as possible, the only person who can recognize the child is the mother, right? But similarly, the Lord, in whatever form the Lord comes, can be recognized only by a pure devotee of the Lord. So that is why the prayer is made, right? Please remove this covering. Satyasya pitamukam tattvam pupranna apavranno satya dharmaya drishtaya. Please remove this covering so that I can see your lotus face. Like that, the devotees pray to the Lord. So here, bhaktyamam abhijanati. Similarly, only a devotee can understand the Lord as he is. For the rest, they cannot understand the Lord. Like that. Okay, so let's see who wants to read today. Yeah, Jyotsna Tiwari Mataji, go ahead.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Danat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Danat Pranam. Yeah. Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavan yaschasmi tatvatah tato mam tatvato nyatva vishate tad anantaram. Yeah, devotees can also switch on your cameras, like I told, right? Let us be physically present, right? Otherwise, when our cameras are off, we don't know what we are doing, right? Sometimes we doze off, sometimes we sleep, sometimes we are not. We are doing multitasking. Like somebody was asking, can we chant when we are hearing the class, or can we chant in the morning as soon as we get up? Right? We can chant at all times, but the chanting has to be done as an exclusive activity. We don't want to chant when we are hearing about Krishna, because we cannot do multitasking. We will neither focus on the chanting nor will I focus on the reading or hearing, right? So let us switch on our cameras as much as possible, so that we know that we have devotees looking at us, right? Even if we are sleeping, the devotee will say, Medhamini, get up, you're sleeping. This is not the time to sleep, like that. Okay, so Jyotsna Mataji, go ahead.
Hare Krishna Mataji. One can understand me as I am, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, only by devotional service. And when one is in full consciousness of me by such devotion, he can enter into the kingdom of God. In the other yoga system, there must be a mixture of bhakti, but bhakti yoga is unadulterated devotion. It is a service without a motive. Generally, people pray with some motive in mind, but we should pray only for further engagement in devotional service. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has taught us that when we pray, we should not pray for anything material. In the beginning, we cited Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's perfect prayer. Na dhanam na janam na sundaram kavitam va jagad isha kamaya mama janmani janmana visware bhavatad bhaktir ayuktu Ayutuki Tyavi. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth nor to enjoy beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. What I want only is the causeless mercy of your devotional service in my life, birth after birth. In this verse, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu addresses the Supreme Lord as Jagadisha. Jagat means universe and Isha means controller. The Supreme Lord is the controller of the universe, and this can be understood by anyone. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu addresses the Supreme Lord as Jagadisha instead of Krishna or Ram. In the material world, we find many controllers. So it is logical that there is controller of the entire universe. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu does not pray for wealth, followers, or beautiful women because these are material requests. Usually, people want to be very great leaders within this material world. Someone tries to become very rich man like Ford and Rockefeller, or someone else tries to become president or some great leader that many thousands of people will follow. These are all material demands. Give me money, give me followers, give me a nice wife. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu refuses to make such materialistic requests. He frankly says, I don't want any of this thing. He even says, Mama Janmani Janama Ishware. That is, he is not even asking for liberation. Just as the materialists have the demands, the yogis demand liberation. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu does not want anything of this nature. Then why is he a devotee? Why is he worshipping Krishna? I simply want to engage in your service birth after birth. He does not even pray for an end to birth, old age, disease, and death. There are no demands whatsoever, for this is the highest platform, the stage of Bhakti Yoga. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Very nice. Thank you. So here, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Lord Krishna himself, who's come in the mood of Srimati Radharani. So what is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu praying? Right, we already discussed how devotional service can be only towards the Supreme Lord. Otherwise, we cannot execute devotional service to anybody else. Why? Because we always have something that we want in return for our devotional service. Either we want money, or we want a good job, or we want happiness, or we want relief from some suffering, some backache, some problem is there, I want relief from that, or I want money, or I want this, I want that. So we are praying either to get a relief from something that is not up to our liking, or we want something that is to our liking. So these are the two things, right? Even Krishna tells in Bhagavad Gita, even these four kinds of people are very pious. Jana, Sukrijunu, Arjuna, right? Artho, Jignashu, Artharthi, Jnani cha Bharatarshaba, right? Artho, somebody who's desirous of wealth. Artharthi, Artho means one who's in distress. Artharthi means one who desires wealth. Then Artho Jignashu, one who's inquiring about, why am I suffering? I'm such a nice person. Why are bad things happening to me? Like that, when a person is inquiring, it's called a Jignashu. And Jnani is a person who already knows that Krishna is the Supreme Lord and I have to render service to him. That's why Krishna says in the next verse, Jnani is somebody who's most dear to me. Out of these four people, all these four people are pious. Why? Because they come to Krishna. Akama sarva kamavo moksha kamodharidi Tivrena Bhakti Yogena Yajeta Purusham Param. Right? We know the pastimes of Dhruv Maharaj. We're not getting into the details, but we know the pastimes of those devotees who became pure devotees, although they had so many material desires. What did the only thing they did? The only thing they did is to pray to the Lord, pray to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even for the fulfillment of their material desires. So it is not wrong to have material desires. We have so much of conditioning from our past, we cannot artificially give it up. But even while praying for those material desires, we pray only to Krishna. Because if it is good for us, Krishna will give us. If it is not good for us, Krishna will not give us. But we should understand that whatever happens is by the will of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's why that is our immediate conditioning. But what is our goal? Where do we want to go? We want to go to where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is establishing in this particular verse. Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim, kavitam va jagadisha kami. I don't want wealth. I don't want followers. I don't want attraction from the opposite sex. What do I want then? Mama janmani, janmanishware. That means I don't want liberation also. Liberation means I have to get out of the material world in this lifetime. Or what is he saying? Mama Janmani, Janmanishware. Even if I have to take birth again and again in this material world, Mama Janmani, Janmanishware, what is it I want? Bhavatat Bhakti Rahituki Tvai. I simply want bhakti. I simply want to render devotional service at your lotus feet. Right? So we don't even pray to be get liberated from Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadi. Right? That is also initial stage. Right? Like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asks Ramananda Rai, what is the highest stage? First of all, he talks about Varnashrama Dharma, then he talks about Seva. Everything Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, wonderful, wonderful. But there is something more better. There is something even much more better. Tell me what it is. So what is the highest level? Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim. I am not rendering devotional service to get anything. I am only rendering devotional service. So that life after life after life, may I always be eternally engaged in the service of the Supreme Lord. This is called Bhakti Yoga. Savipumsam paro dharma yato bhakti radoksaje ahituki apratihata yayatma suprasidati. Ahituki apratihata seva. Causeless. Not expecting anything in return. And uninterrupted. Whatever be the situation, whether I'm happy, whether I'm sad, whether I'm distressed, whether I have just got up with a headache in the morning, doesn't matter. Am I inclined to perform my sadhana, irrespective of all the situations? That is uninterrupted Bhakti Yoga. Okay, let's move forward. Okay, so what is the meaning of the Maha Mantra? That is what it is. Jai Muti Radha Mataji. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Yes. You're joining us for the first time, Mataji, today?
No, I'm only Mother. Jayanti Sridhar only. My initiation name is that one.
Oh, okay. Yes, Mataji. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna. Chanting Hare Krishna is also asking the Lord, please engage me in your service. This is the mantra taught by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. Hare refers to the energy of the Lord, and the Krishna and Rama are names of the Lord himself. When we chant Hare Krishna, we are asking Krishna to please engage us in his service. This is because our entire material disease is due to our having forgotten to serve God. In illusion, we are thinking I am God. What is the other God I have to serve? I myself am God. Ultimately, that is the only disease. The last snare of illusion. First of all, a person tries to Prime Minister, President Rockefeller, Ford, this and that, and when one fails or attains such a post and is still unhappy, he wants to become a god. That is like becoming an even higher president. When I understood that the presidency does not afford me eternal bliss and knowledge, I demand the highest presidency. I demand to become God. In any case, the demand is scroll, Mataji. The demand is there, and this demand is our disease in illusion. We are demanding to be the highest, but the process of Bhakti Yoga is just the opposite. We want to become servant of the Lord. There is no question of demanding to become the Lord. We just want to serve, that's all. Our original nature is rooted in service, and wanting to serve is the crucial test for the devotee. We may not realize it, but in this material world, we are also serving. If we want to become a president, we have to make so many promises to the voter. In other words, the president has to say, I will give the people my service. Unless he promises to serve his country, there is no question of his becoming president. So even if one is the most exalted leader, his position is to render service. This is very difficult for the people to understand. Dispute becoming the highest executive in the land. One has to give the service to the people. If that service is not given, one is likely to be unsurprised, fired or killed. In the material world, service is very dangerous. If there is a little discrepancy in one service, one is immediately fired. When the people did not like me service that President Nixon was rendering, they forced him to resign. Some people disagreed with the president needy, and he was killed. Similarly, in India, Gandhi was also killed because some people did not like the way he was rendering service. This is always the position of the material world. Therefore, one should be intelligent enough to decide the cease rendering service for the material motives. We must render service to the Supreme Lord, and that rendering of service is our perfection. Dandot Pranam. Hare Krishna.
Very wonderful, isn't it? Prabhupada is giving an example how people want to become leaders. But they don't want, like just before the election, they come and say, we'll put new roads here, you'll get 24 hours water supply, there will be no electricity cut, etc. And then what happens later on? All of those things they promised will happen one after another. There will be power cuts, there will not be any road put. And then what happens? All these society people will join together, and then they will go and do this hartal, something or the other will happen, and then this person will be removed from the position, right? At least in in India, it does not happen so fast. Things take a lot of time. But what is the intention, right? We want to remove the person from the post if the particular person has not delivered what he has promised. Why? Because the very intention to take that particular post is not service. And the people also know that, out of so many, everybody is exploitative, right? There are 4 people standing for the post. We know all the 4 are exploitative. So we choose somebody who we think is the least exploitative, right? Like we have this material body, at least we should be satisfied. I have a human body. I don't have the other species. Like that, being satisfied with having got the best of the bad bargain, like that they say, right? This human body is the best of the bad bargain that we've got, right? To come to this material world is a bad bargain, but what is it? We've got the best of it. At least we've got the best of the human form that we can help us go back to Godhead, right? Similarly, the best of the bad leaders we can choose. This person is the least exploitative. We choose him, and then that person, actually turns out to be, they're not fulfilling his promises. And then what do? The next time election comes, or before that only, we try to push him or pull him down from power. So this is the nature of the material world, where the person serving is also trying to exploit, and the person who's receiving the service also, if it's not satisfied, he tries to pull down that person. So there is no love. Right? Just like our jobs in the material world, we go for job, we do our job unless and until we get our monthly salary. If they don't give us 1 month salary, next month we'll not go for the job, because the service is rendered for some monetary gain, for something other than love. There is no love between the employer and the employee, right? That I choose to work for this employer, right? But Srila Prabhupada, he went with 40 rupees. The way he made the entire Western world. He made so many disciples, 1,000 disciples plus, all of them, right? Prabhupada also mentions in his lectures, I don't pay them anything, but they're willing to sacrifice their lives for me, right? Why? That is what is actual devotional service. Devotional service is rendered to a bona fide guru or to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, not for wanting anything material, but for simply the person is satisfied by rendering devotional service. The service itself gives sukha. Susukam kartumavyayam. There is no expectation of anything more than devotional service. That is why it is said, devotional service in itself is the greatest benediction. If you are getting an opportunity to do devotional service, that in itself is the greatest benediction. We don't have to aspire for anything because we are doing devotional service. That in itself is the greatest benediction. And that is the mood and consciousness of a devotee. Right? President Kennedy was killed. President Nixon was forced to resign. Why? Because there was a mismatch between demand and supply, right? What the people demanded? People demanded, that they should serve, without any, selfish interests. But there is no leader who's serving like that without any selfish interests. So we are trying to pull down everybody. That is always the position in the material world. But when we are coming to the spiritual world, we should throw away this consciousness of aham mameti, I am this, belonging to this society, so this person should get benefited. Oh, this was my child, she should get the benefit. Right? From this minuscule selfish tendencies, we have to come out of it. Right? So in this way, when we render service to the Supreme Lord for his satisfaction, then we come out of all these isms, right? In Ishopanishad, Prabhupada talks about communism, capitalism, all these various kinds of isms, socialism, whatever may be. All of them satisfy selfish interest of certain pockets of people. That's why some people want capitalism, some people want communism. That's because each one wants to satisfy their own pockets or their own selfish interests. But when we decide to serve and satisfy the Lord, and through the Guru Parampara, then what happens? Then we can be really satisfied. And that's why Prabhupada is saying we have to render service to the Supreme Lord, and that kind of rendering of service is the supreme perfection. Otherwise, whomever else we serve in this material world, although we may have the best of interests, it will not please the other person and it will not please us also. Because we are not serving the Supreme Lord. We are not serving without any selfish interests. Like that. Okay. Now who will read? Sindhu Mataji, go ahead. We have formed this international from there.
Hare Krishna, Pranam Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Am I audible? Yeah. We have formed this International Society for Krishna Consciousness in order to teach people what they have forgotten. In this material world, we have forgotten the service of Radha Krishna. Therefore, we have become servants of Maya, the senses. Therefore, in this society, we are saying you are serving your senses. Now, just turn your service to Radha and Krishna and you will be happy. You have to render service either to Maya, illusion, the senses, or to Sri Sri Radha Krishna. In this world, everyone is serving the senses, but people are not satisfied. No one can be satisfied because the senses are always demanding more gratification. And this means that we are constantly having to serve the senses. In any case, our position as servant remains the same. It's a question of whether we want to be happy in our service. It is the verdict of Bhagavad Gita and the other Vedic scriptures that we will never be happy trying to serve our senses, for they are only the sources of misery. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu prays to be situated in Krishna's service. He also prays, Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram Patitam Mam Shame Bhavam Budau Kripaya Tava Pada Pankaja Stitaduli Shadrisham Vichintaya. You son of Maharaja Nanda, Krishna, I am your eternal servitor. Yet somehow or the other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. Sikshashtaka 5. This is another way of asking Krishna to engage us in his service.
Hare Krishna.
Loving devotion.
Hare Bol. So here in this paragraphs we see how yehi samsparsha jaboga dukkha yone evate adi antavanta kaunteya na teshu ramati buddha. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, yehi samsparsha. Sparsha means we are trying to get some pleasure by the sense of touch, by the sense of ear, by the sense of hearing, by the sense of seeing. If you want to see some beautiful things, you want to smell some nice, fragrance, like that. Always we are trying to enjoy sense gratification. And what it leads to? Yehi samsparsha jaboga dukkha yone evate. Ultimately, we are always we are prone to feel miserable. Why? Because we want more and more. Right? Yeah. The other day we were discussing how when there is lust. That means when we have the desire for sense gratification, either it can lead to kama, can lead to either krodha, or it can lead to lobha. Right? It will either lead to anger when my desire is not satisfied, or it will lead to krodha, anger, if my desire is not satisfied. So in either case, it is not going to lead to bliss, whether my material desire is satisfied or not satisfied. So that is the trick of Maya. Right? Yehi samsparsha jaboga dukkha yone evate. Always it has to lead to dukkha. Adi antavanta kaunteya. Why? Because although when our desire is first satisfied, we feel happiness, but it has got an adi and it's got an anta. Adi antavanta kaunteya. It has got a beginning. So slowly in 5-10 minutes, my happiness will subside and misery is going to come on the way. So adi antavanta kaunteya na teshu ramati buddha. An intelligent person will not try to enjoy such kind of sense pleasures which have a beginning and which have an end. And they are always sources of misery. That is what Krishna is telling here. So what should we desire? Are we not expected to desire bliss? We cannot. We always have to desire bliss because we are part and parcel of the blissful Lord. So in that case, what is our solution? We discover bliss by rendering devotional service. So what do I pray to the Lord? Ainanda tanuja kinkaram patitam mam vishame bhavamudo. Vishame means I have fallen down into this ocean of material existence. Ambuda means ocean. I have fallen down in this ocean of material existence. Mama, what is that? Ainanda tanuja kinkaram patitam mam vishame bhavamudo kripaya tava pada pankaja. Right? If the Lord lifts us from this material world and places it in his and the atom of his lotus feet, then our life is perfect. Right? That's where we are praying to the Lord. I have somehow fallen into the ocean of material existence. Please pick me up and place me as an atom at your lotus feet. This is the prayer that we can do every day. In the morning, some or the other, I'm caught up in this material entanglement. Please pick me up and keep me at the keep me at your lotus feet, so that may always remember you, may always serve your lotus feet. This is the prayer that we have to do to the Lord, because by our endeavor we cannot come out. Like in Bhagavad Gita also, in chapter 14, Prabhupada explains, we are actually bound with the 3 modes of material nature. Right? Some of us are bound by copper thread, silver thread, and golden thread. We cannot unbind ourselves. There has to be somebody who's transcendental to the modes, who's not bound by the 3 modes, who has to untie us. And that is either Guru or Krishna. Like that. Okay, let's move forward. Who'll read? Maushmi Mataji, go ahead. Loving devotional service can be rendered.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Dandavat
Yes,
Pranam.
Dandavats.
One good news I want to give you. I have bought Krishna books, and in every party I am giving those Krishna books to them.
Jai. Haribol. Nice. Mataji, you invite them, give them Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is the first book, preliminary study. Invite
Yeah.
them for our Zoom session for Bhagavad Gita, because we'll be reading from the introduction. Slowly,
Yeah,
we'll be progressing. So please invite them for the Bhagavad Gita sessions. Okay, Mataji?
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Loving devotional service can only be rendered to the person,
Personal
to
form
the
of Krishna.
personal form of Krishna. Shyama Sundara, the impersonalist emphasizes the
Size,
emphasize the Virat Roop, the universal form exhibited in the 11th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, but it is stated there therein 11.21 that the demigods are very much afraid of this form, and Arjun says,
अदृष्टपूर्वं दृशितोऽस्मि दृष्ट्वा भयेन च प्रव्यथितं मनो मे तदेव मे दर्शय देवरूपं प्रसीद देवेश जगन्निवास.
After seeing this universal form, which I have never seen before, I am gladdened, but at the same time, my mind is disturbed with fear. Therefore, please bestow your grace upon me and reveal again your form as the personality of Godhead, Krishna or Shyam Sundara. O Lord of Lords, O Obed of the
God of the universe.
Abode of the universe, Bhagavad Gita 11.45. There is no question of loving the Virat Roop. If Krishna comes before you in the Virat Roop form, you will be so filled with fear that you will forget your love. So don't be eager like the impersonalists to see the Virat Roop form. Just render love service to Shyam Sundara Krishna. We have
Hare
more
Krishna.
on Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. So, so here we see that Prabhupada is saying, we cannot love somebody who's in such a fierce form. But we saw how Prahlad Maharaj, he prayed to Narsinghadev. He sat in his lap. Right, the pure devotees of the Lord identify the Lord in whatever way He comes. But for the impersonalists, for the people who are trying to develop love for the Lord, if we worship because we need to something to get attracted to, isn't it? We are attracted to all the beauty of this material nature. So we are attracted to all of the things of this material nature. So we want to be attracted towards the Lord. And the Lord is most beautiful in the Shyama Sundar form, because he's complete in Mathura, he's more complete in Dwaraka, but he's most complete in his magnificent form as Shyama Sundar in Vrindavan Dham, isn't it? So Prabhupada is saying we should develop attachment for other Shyama Sundar form. We should not develop attachment for the Virat Rupa form, because Virat Rupa we cannot serve. Right? Virat Rupa means that the Vishwarupa form that Krishna shows to Arjuna. Right? That form is like so fierce, with the devatas coming inside the mouth, the demigods gushing out of the mouth. And in this way, the form is so ferocious that we cannot develop Adan Pradhan. We cannot develop transcendental relationship with that form of the Lord. That is why Prabhupada is saying we need to develop a relationship with that form of the Lord, which gives us an opportunity to serve. And what is the best form? The best form is the Archa Vigraha form of the Lord, where the Lord kindly agrees to come to our own home. stay in our own home and accept our bhoga offerings. What can be a better way of showing our love and devotion to the Supreme Personality of Godhead other than the Archa Vigraha forms of our own home, or the Radha Shamasundar forms in Vrindavan Dham, or Radha Madhav in Mayapur, or Radha Krishna in Chennai, or Radha Rasi Bihari in Mumbai, or Radha Giridhari in Mumbai, or Radha Gopinath in Mumbai, like that. So whichever temple we are associated with, we are attached to the deities of that particular temple. We develop a relationship with the deities of the particular temple because we are entering service. With love comes service, and with service we are eternally associated, or we get into a relationship. Just like when a girl gets married, right? She renders service to that particular family, and because of that, she gets into a relationship with that particular family because of her service, like that. Okay, Monimala Mataji, go ahead. We have more or less seen Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Dandavats. Yes, ma'am.
We have more or less seen Krishna as the Vishwarupa during wartime in Calcutta in 1942. There was a siren and we ran into a shelter and the bombing began. In this way, we were seeing that Vishwarupa, and I was thinking, of course, this is also just another form of Krishna, but this is not a very lovable form. A devotee wants to love Krishna in his original form, and this Vishwarupa is not his original form. Being omnipotent, Krishna can appear in any form, but his lovable form is that of Krishna, Sham Sundara. Although a man may be a police officer, when he is at home, he is a beloved father to his son. But if he comes home firing his revolver, the son will be so frightened that he will forget that he is his beloved father. Naturally, the child loves his father when he is at home, like a father. And similarly, we love Krishna as he is in his eternal abode, in the form of Samasundara. The Vishwarupa was shown to Arjuna to warn those rascals who claim, I am God. Arjuna asked to see the Vishwarupa so that in the future we may have some creation by which to test rascals who claim to be God. In other words, if someone says, I am God, we can simply reply, if you are God, please show me your Vishwarupa. And we can rest assured that such rascals cannot display this form. Of course, Arjuna was offering all respects to the Vishwarupa form. This is a natural quality of a devotee. A devotee even respects Durga, Maya, because Maya is Krishna's energy. If we respect Krishna, we respect everyone, even an ant. Therefore, Brahma prays. Mataji.
Srishti Sthiti Pralaya Sadhana Shakti Reka Chaye Vayasya Bhuvanani Bibharti Durga Ichchanurupamapi Yasya Chacheshtate Sa Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami.
The external potency, Maya, who is of the nature of the shadow of the
Chit, spiritual potency.
Spiritual potency is worshipped by all people as Durga. The creating, preserving and destroying agency. Preserving and destroying agency of this mundane world. I worship the primeval Lord Govinda, in accordance with whose will Durga conducts herself. Brahma Samhita 5.44. Thus, we pray to Krishna, we pray to Durga immediately, because Durga is his energy. And when we pray to Durga, we are actually praying to Krishna. Because she is working under the direction of Krishna. When the devotee sees the activities of Maya, he sees Krishna immediately, thinking, oh Maya is acting so nicely under the direction of Krishna. When one offers respect to a policeman, he is actually offering respect to the government. Durga, the material energy, is so powerful that she can create, annihilate, and maintained, but in all cases, she is acting under Krishna's directions.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Bol. Thank you. So here, very beautiful, isn't it? What Prabhupada is making a point here, that, for example, if a person is a government officer, right, we respect that government officer, right? If you see a police inspector, or even if we see a traffic constable, right? If we've not worn our seat belt, or if we've not worn our, if three people are riding on a bike, then immediately they get scared. Not because of that particular person, but because of the position that person is holding. Right. Similarly, we respect the devatas because they are administrators of the Supreme Lord. But here it is, it is not advisable to bribe such police officers. If we bribe the police officers or the traffic people, etc., then we'll be put behind the bars, or we'll be fined, or will be given a greater punishment. Similarly, it is not nice to bribe the devatas or the demigods to obtain some kind of material benefits. That is why Krishna says, if you have a desire for material benefits, also worship me. Right? So we have to directly approach the government. And dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. So Maya Devi, why is she giving so much of obstacles? Because Maya Devi is acting on behalf of Krishna. She is, like we discussed the other day, Maya Devi is giving us the tests. If we pass the test, she will be very happy to give us to Lord Shri Krishna, to serve Lord Shri Krishna. But she is acting under Krishna's directions so that we are tested properly. So that the gold which is properly tested, only the fine quality gold can be made into an ornament for Lord Shri Krishna. So Maya Devi is given that seva, to actually check if a particular devotee has purified himself or herself so nicely that he or she can serve the Supreme Lord in all circumstances. Otherwise, if we fail the test, Maya gives us additional more and more opportunities until we pass the test. And in this way, we advance in bhakti. Okay, let's move forward. Who will read now? Nagamani Mataji, go ahead. Through bhakti. Okay, now Kishori Mataji, go ahead.
हाँ, हरे कृष्ण माता जी. हुआ
Yes.
अभी 1 minute. माता जी, मेरा हरे बोल.
Mataji, we'll discuss the end of the session, Mataji. Let's continue reading. We'll just complete this chapter and then we can discuss. Yes.
या
Through
मेरा
bhakti.
म्यूट हो. हरे बोल.
सुनाई दे रहा है माताजी? पढ़िए.
कृष्णा.
Please read, Mataji. You're audible.
Shall I read, Mataji?
Yes.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Though bhakti, pure devotion to Krishna, we can leave the association of Maya and be prohibited promoted to the eternal association of Krishna. Some of the gopis, Krishna's friends, or eternal associates, and others are promoted to that eternal position. If only the eternal associates of Krishna
Can play with him.
Of Krishna
Hare Krishna can play with him, and others cannot.
Yeah, can play with them, and others cannot. Then what is the meaning of becoming Krishna conscious? If we can also become eternal associates of Krishna through pious deeds executed in many lives. Actually, in the Vrindavana manifest in this material world, the associates of Krishna are actually continued living entities who have been promoted to the perfect stage of Krishna consciousness. Thus promoted, they are first of all allowed to see Krishna on the planet where Krishna's pastimes are being enacted. After this, they are promoted
to the transcendental Goloka Vrindavana in the spiritual sky. Therefore, it is stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10.12.11, 11,
Punya Punjaha.
Krita Punya
Punjaha.
Punjaha.
Yeah, thank you, Mataji.
Bhak-
Hare Krishna. Hari Bol.
Hari
Okay,
Bol.
so here, thank you so much, Mataji. Hari Bol. Okay, so here, very beautifully, Prabhupada is talking about how we develop into various stages of bhakti. Right? Directly, we are not, put into, become manjari and serve the Lord. Right? So, according to our level of purification, we will get our seva. Right? First and foremost, our last life, it is said that we will be born in the eternal Dham of Vrindavan. Right, which is Gokul Vrindavan, where in the where we will be observing the Supreme Lord perform the various pastimes with the Gopas, and all that, and we will be able to assimilate and understand those pastimes because we are already purified. The birth in Vrindavan Dham itself means we've got Krita Punya Punjaha. That means we accumulated so much of credits from our previous life that we are able to see the leelas of Lord Sri Krishna happening in the Bhuloka of Vrindavan Dham. And it's then once one witnesses Lord Krishna's leelas in the Bahuma Vrindavan, then one actually gets the opportunity to serve the Lord in the Goloka Vrindavan Dham. Right? One is not directly given entrance there into the Goloka Vrindavan Dham, like that. Okay. So who will read next? Yeah, Navakishwari Mataji, go ahead. Bhakti Yoga means?
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Yes, Mataji.
Bhakti Yoga means connecting ourselves with Krishna, God, and becoming His eternal associates. Bhakti Yoga cannot be applied to any other objective. Therefore, in Buddhism, for instance, there is no Bhakti Yoga because they do not recognize the Supreme Lord existing as the supreme objective. Christians, however, practice Bhakti Yoga when they worship Jesus Christ, because they are accepting Him as the Son of God and are there accepting God. Unless one accepts God, there is no question of Bhakti Yoga. Christianity, therefore, Christianity, therefore, also a form of Vaishnavism, because God is recognized. Unless there are differences of religion, mainly Christianity is great, certain. The actual greatness of God can be understood from Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Accepting the greatness of God is the beginning of Bhakti. Bhakti Yoga exists among the Mauryaans. Society of Muslims, religion. However, where there is no recognition of a personal God, in other words, where there is only impersonalism. There is no question of yoga. Bhakti Yoga must include three items: the servitor, the served, and service. One must present to accept service, and one must be present to render service. The via media is the process of service itself. Bhakti Yoga, now, if there is no one to accept that service, how is Bhakti Yoga possible? Therefore, if a philosophy or religion does not accept God God as the supreme person, there is no possibility of Bhakti Yoga being applied. In the Bhakti Yoga process, there is a
role of the spiritual master. Okay, Mataji,
Sorry,
thank you so much,
Mataji.
Mataji. We'll ask Garpagavali Mataji to read now. We have 3 more devotees. Yeah, go ahead, Garpagavali Mataji.
Yes, Mataji. Thank you, Mataji. In the Bhakti Yoga process, the role of spiritual master is so most important and essential. Although the spiritual master will always come back until his devotees have achieved good God realization, one should not try to take advantage of this. We should not trouble our spiritual master, but should complete the Bhakti Yoga process in this life. That the disciple should be serious in his service to the spiritual master, and if the devotee is intelligent, he should think, why should I act in such a way that my spiritual master has to take the trouble to reclaim me again? Let me realize Krishna in this life. That is the proper way of thinking. We should not think, oh, I'm sure that my spiritual master will come and save me. Therefore, I will do as I please. If we have any affection for a spiritual master, we should complete the process in this life so that he does not have to return to claim us. In this regard, there is an example of Bilvamangala Thakura, who in his previous life was elevated almost to a prema bhakti, the highest platform of devotional service. However, since there is always a chance of fall down, somehow or other he fell down. In his next life, he was born in a very rich Brahmana family in accordance with the principle enunciated in the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita 6.21. Suninam Srimadam
Srimatam Gehe.
Unfortunately, as is often the case with rich boys, he became a prostitute hunter. Yet it is said that his spiritual master instructed him through his prostitute, saying, "Oh, you are so attached to this mere flesh and bones. If you were this much attached to Krishna, how much good you might have, you might achieve." Immediately, Bilvamangala Thakura resumed his devotional service. Although the spiritual master assumes responsibility for this for his disciple, we should not take advantage of this. Rather, we should try to please the spiritual master. Yasya prasada, Bhagavad prasada. We should not put our spiritual master in such a position that he has to reclaim us from a house of prostitution. But even if he has to do so, he will do it because he assumes this responsibility when he accepts his disciple. Shall I continue, Mataji?
Thank you, Mataji. Hari Bol. So very
Thank you.
important points. I think very, very clearly Prabhupada is describing with illustration. Right, Bilvamangal Thakur, he was attracted to a prostitute named Chintamani. Later on, he actually tells about Chintamani actually helping him revive his God consciousness, right? Because with great trouble he went and he took a log which he thought was a log, which actually a dead body. He climbed upon a snake which he thought was a rope. Finally reaches Chintamani on the day when it was heavily raining. It was not possible to go anywhere. He took so much of trouble just to meet her. And Chintamani is saying, if at all you would have taken so much of trouble to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead, you will be in the Dham of the Lord. But then you are still here. And in this way, when he heard this, he immediately took her to be his guru and immediately left everything and he became a devotee of the Lord. So in this way, we put so much of effort in all the unnecessary things in our life. If we put such kind of effort to please Guru and Gauranga, right? Yasya prasadat Bhagavad prasado. Prabhupada is saying here. Now, if we put all those efforts in actually serving and satisfying our spiritual master, serving and satisfying Prabhupada, we will attain perfection in our life. And that perfection is eternal. Whereas the material pursuits, we have been doing so much of effort, it will all die with this body. And sometimes you not even get the result that we are seeking for, right? Okay, who will read now? Leelanandini Mataji, go ahead. The Bhakti Yoga process.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
The Bhakti Yoga process should be completed in this life, because in this life we have all the instruments necessary to become fully Krishna conscious. We have mridangas and cymbals and tongues with which to chant Sri Krishna, Hare Krishna. Even if we don't have mridangas and cymbals, we have a tongue. No one has to purchase a tongue. We also have ears with which to hear the sound that the tongue vibrates. Therefore, we have all the instruments we need with us, a tongue and ears. We have only to chant Hare Krishna and use our ears to hear this vibration, and all perfection will be there. We don't have to become highly educated scientists or philosophers. We have only to chant and hear. Thus, we have everything complete. Purnam Ada Purnam Idam. Everything created by God is complete. This aggregate earth, for instance, is complete. There is sufficient water in the oceans, and the sun acts to evaporate this water, turn into clouds, and drop rain on the land to produce plants. And from the mountains, pure rivers are flowing to supply water throughout the year. If we want to evaporate a few hundred gallons of water, we have to make many arrangements. But the creation is so complete that millions of tons of water are being drawn from the ocean, turned into clouds, and then sprayed all over the land and reserved on the peaks of mountains, so that water will be present for the production of grains and vegetables. Thus, the creation is complete because it comes from the complete. Similarly, our bodies are also complete for spiritual realization. The complete machine is already with us. We have only to utilize it to vibrate the transcendental sound, Shabda of Hare Krishna, and we will attain complete liberation from all material pangs. Hare Krishna, Mataji. Hari
Very
Bol.
nice. Yeah. So Prabhupada is telling us we don't have to purchase, we don't have to spend even a rupee, right? What do we have to do? We have to utilize what we already have, what the Lord has already given us. We simply have to utilize our eyes and ears and nose and mouth and whatever tongue Lord has given us. Sevon mukhi jivadav. And then what happens? Swayameva suratyadaha. In this way, the Lord will reveal Himself, right? We don't have to artificially purchase anything. All right. So let's complete with our Mataji, who's one more hand was raised. Whose hand was it? Anjana Mataji, go ahead. Destination after death. With you, we'll end our session with you. Yes.
Destination after death. Sarva dharani samayamaya manohridya cha mudhane. The yogic situation is that of detachment from all sensual engagement, closing all the doors of the senses and fixing the mind on the heart and the life air at the top of the head. One established himself in yoga, Bhagavad Gita 8.12. Our translation of the word yoga is plus, that is just the opposite of minus at the present moment. Due to our materially contaminated consciousness, we are minus God. When we add God to our lives and when we connect with them, life is perfected. This process has to be finished at the time of death. Therefore, as long as we are alive, we have to practice approaching that point of perfection, so that at the time of death, when we give up the material body, we can realize the supreme
Kale manasa chalena bhaktya yukto yoga balena chaiva bhruvor madhye pranamavesha samyak satam param purushamupaiti divyam.
One who at the time of death fixes his life here between the eyebrows, and by the strength of yoga with an undeviating mind engages himself in remembering the Supreme Lord in full devotion, will certainly attain to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Bhagavad Gita 8.10. The word prayana kale mean at the time of death. Life is kind of preparation for the final examination, which is death. If we pass that examination, we are transferred to the spiritual world according to according to a very common Bengali proverb, whatever you do for perfection will be tested at the time of your death. This process by which the yogi closes the doors of the senses is technically called pratyahara, sorry, meaning just the opposite. Presently, our senses are engaged in seeing worldly beauty. Just the opposite means retracting the senses from the beauty and seeing the beauty inside, hearing the concentrated on the omkara, the sound that within. Similarly, all the other senses are withdrawn from external activity. The mind is then concentrated on the Vishnu Murti within the heart. Mana Hridaya Niruddhya. The word Aniruddha means confining the mind within the heart. When the yogi has thus withdrawn his senses and concentrated his mind, he transferred the life to the top of the head and decides where he should go. There are innumerable planets, and beyond these planets is the spiritual world. The yogis obtain information of these planets from the Vedic literatures, just as before coming to the United States, I obtained information about this country from books. Since all the higher planets in the spiritual world are described in the Vedic literature, and the yogi knows everything and can transfer himself to any planet he likes. He does not need a material spaceship. And
Hare Krishna.
scientists,
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna. Thank you,
Yeah.
Mataji.
So, Krishna, thank you so much. So, Prabhupada is mentioning here what Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita, right? Yanti deva vrita devan, pitran yanti pratavtraha, bhutani yanti bhuteja, yanti mad yajinobimam. Right? Prabhupada is saying, I found out about American places, right? Which place if I go, I'll be able to preach, which is a good place. Like that, Prabhupada also found out by reading. And then he went to that particular place and he converted them from hippies to happies. Similarly, when we have to go to a particular place, you also Google about that place. What is the best place to visit? How long is it from here? How do I travel? Everything, isn't it? Similarly, whichever planet we want to go, if you want to go to the planets of the demigods, you have to worship the demigods. Yanti deva vrita devan. Pitran yanti pitravrtaha. If you want to go to the planets of the forefathers, then we worship the forefathers. Yeah. Yanti deva vrita devan. Pitran yanti pitravrtaha. Bhutani yanti bhuteja. People who are in tamasic mode, they worship ghosts and spirits. So they will go and join the ghosts and spirits. But what does an intelligent person do? Krishna says, Yanti madhyajino bhimam. One who worships me comes and stays with me in Goloka Vrindavan Dham. And we also know, Brahma Bhuvana Loka Punaravartino Arjuna. Right? An intelligent person will not want to go either to Brahma Loka or to Indra Loka or to heavenly planets or even to the Siddha Loka. Doesn't matter. Why? Once I exhaust my pious credits, I come back to this material world. But yakshine punya martya lokam vishanti. Krishna tells in Bhagavad Gita. Once we exhaust our pious credits, we come back to the material world. But there is one world. Yad gatvana nivartante tad dhama paramam mama. There is one world. If we reach that world, we don't have to come back to this material world. And that world is the supreme dham of the supreme personality of Godhead, Krishna. So we have to go there. What do we have to do? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. When we chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, when we engage in Anava Angas of Bhakti under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, then by their mercy, we will be able to go back to the spiritual world. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki, Jai Shri Gurudev ki, Jananda Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki, Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Let's see who are all there. And today we'll also do a little bit, 2 minutes of Kirtan. Before that, we'll take darshan of all the devotees who are there. Oshmi Mataji, Jalakshmi Priya Mataji, Monimala Mataji, our Sindhu Mataji is there, Jyotsna Mataji, Shobha Mataji, Sridhar Prabhu, Sneha Prabha Mataji, Karpakavalli Mataji, Meenakshi Mataji. All right. So thank you so much, Anjana Mataji. Thank you all very much for joining in. Vancha kalpatarobhyascha kripa sindhu bhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So we'll meet tomorrow morning 5 o'clock for Brahma Muhurta chanting. And then we meet at 12:30. Tomorrow is probably the last day that we're meeting at 12:30. After that, we'll meet at the revised time. If you're not able to complete Path of Perfection, then we'll also have on Saturday. In this way, we will complete Path of Perfection and then we'll move on to Bhagavad Gita. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Jaya Pataka Swami Niti Namne Nama Acharya Padaya Nitai Kripa Pradhaine Gaura Katha Damadaya Nagara Grama Tarine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Dishatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Radha Madhav Jai Shri Radha Shama Sundar Radha Madhav Jai Shri Radha Madhav Jaya Jai Prabhupada Gurudev Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hare Ram Sankirtan ki jai Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Srila Gurudev ki jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol all devotees assembled devotees Hare Krishna all devotees assembled devotees Hare Krishna all devotees assembled devotees Hare Krishna all glories Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga Srila Prabhupada ki jai Hare Krishna Dandavat Pranams. Today we are running 15 minutes extra time, so we'll just conclude our session today. We'll meet you all tomorrow sharp for our book study session at 12:30 p.m. Indian Standard Time, and we meet, of course, for our Mangala. What is that? Brahma Muhurta chanting session at 4:30 a.m. 5 o'clock Indian Standard Time. Hare